A super common question that I get is, what is the best form of magnesium, or what magnesium should I take? And the answer is that it absolutely depends on what you're looking for, because the different forms of magnesium have different targeted support that essentially provides different therapeutic properties. So let's go through them so that we can figure out which one is going to be the best for you. Hi, I'm Jess. I'm a clinical nutritionist, and today we're going to be diving straight into the different forms of magnesium. People seek out magnesium supplementation for a variety of different reasons, whether that's to support the stress response, nervous system, anxiety, or it's more along the lines of muscle relaxation, restless legs, or even bowel regularity. So we're going to go through 7 different forms today, from the most common to some of the most cool or targeted magnesium supplements. Each form certainly has its place, so if you know exactly what you're here for and you want to beeline straight to that, then check out the chapters below. If you're unsure, or you're maybe looking for a magnesium supplement to support you in a variety of ways, then learning about the different forms is really going to help you with this. If you're wondering why there's so many different forms, it's because magnesium on its own isn't well absorbed, so it's always going to be bound to a different compound that's going to increase its bioavailability and then essentially give it those different therapeutic properties. So let's get started with one of the most common forms of magnesium that you're likely going to see in a drugstore or in your multivitamin, and that is magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is an inorganic salt of magnesium, and even though it contains relatively high magnesium amounts, it's very poorly absorbed in the body. You see it the most often because it is also the cheapest. So when brands or a multivitamin is looking to cut costs, they're likely going to go with magnesium oxide for an overall well-rounded formulation. It is better than nothing, but it's not a form that I'm ever going to recommend, because for a slightly increased price, you can get some of the ones that I'm going to talk about next that are going to have a much better bioavailability. There are some unique circumstances or instances for clinical use of magnesium oxide, and this might be when you actually don't want to raise your magnesium levels, but you do want to have a laxative effect, then magnesium oxide can be used for that. But if I'm looking at a magnesium for specifically its laxative effect, and then to also give you a little bit of overall magnesium support, the magnesium I'm going to turn to for that is going to be the next on the list, which is magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is a great magnesium supplement to start with if you're just getting into magnesium, because it has a pretty low barrier to entry in terms of cost, and it is going to provide you with a few different purposes, one of them being bowel regularity. Magnesium citrate is an osmotic laxative, which essentially means that it works by drawing water into the intestines, which helps soften the stool and makes them easier to pass. It is for this reason that some people claim that it's not one of the most bioavailable magnesium supplementation, because most of the magnesium concentration is being drawn into the bowels. But that being said, it has been shown to be up to 3 times more bioavailable than magnesium oxide. So once again, it is a really great choice if you're just getting started with magnesium and you're looking for a little bit of a magnesium boost, and maybe you could use the bowel regularity as well. This isn't for you if you have IBS-D, so IBS with diarrhea, overall loose bowels, or you may just need something that's very, very gentle on the gut. If you are going to do a magnesium citrate, I recommend doing a powder. The tablets have been shown to not be as well absorbed because our body essentially has to break those down first, like it would with digesting food. I really like a supplement that's called Calm, which is essentially a magnesium carbonate powder that when you add hot water to it, it actually turns into magnesium citrate. This is a supplement that I see work the best for giving people that gentle laxative effect that they're really looking for. The next 3 magnesiums that we're going to talk about, malate, glycinate, and taurate, are 3 magnesiums that are very well studied for their therapeutic effects and are well known for their bioavailability. So let's start with magnesium malate. This is magnesium bound with malic acid, which is an organic compound that's commonly found in apples and other food sources. And magnesium malate is really well known to support cellular metabolism. So it really provides support for your muscle, bones, and energy production, which is why it has shown some clinical efficacy for use in conditions like fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. I think this is a really cool form of magnesium because while we often think of magnesium as nature's chill pill, magnesium is also required for energy production. So that's not to say that magnesium malate doesn't also work on the parasympathetic system or state where we feel that kind of rest and digest and chill, but people have claimed that it does give them a little bit of calm, natural energy. So this isn't something that I would want to take, for example, directly before bed. But it is still something that's been shown to help with mood disorders like anxiety and depression, as well as just generally increasing those overall magnesium levels in the blood. If I was gonna take a magnesium supplement to support that very calm state and for sleep, this would be the next one on the list, which is magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is magnesium bound to the amino acid L-glycine, and L-glycine is really well known to support that nervous system, that parasympathetic state, and sleep as well. It's well absorbed in the gut, it doesn't cause gastrointestinal distress, and this is one of the reasons why it's a very popular form of magnesium recommended in natural health circles or by your functional natural medicine provider. And it does a really good job at providing some overall additional benefits, some of these being promoting sleep, relieving anxiety, promoting bone health, helping with the management of blood sugar, supporting cardiometabolic health, or even reducing PMS or premenstrual symptoms. Magnesium glycinate is a great overall chill pill, but it's still not my top pick for cognitive function or anxiety, which we'll get to in a minute. But first, I want to go over that other form of magnesium, which is magnesium taurate. Magnesium taurate is a chelated form of magnesium bound to the amino acid taurate. It's going to have similar properties to malate and glycinate in terms of supporting overall magnesium content in the body. And while magnesium taurate and glycinate have both been shown to support cardiometabolic health, magnesium taurate is the most well-studied and the most well-known for its cardiovascular benefits. Magnesium and taurine both help lower blood pressure, and taurine helps the heart actively pump blood effectively around the body. So many people find that this form of magnesium is incredibly helpful for heart arrhythmias or any sort of other cardiovascular concerns. That being said, magnesium taurate may be the most effective form of magnesium for managing either or the combination of high blood sugar and high blood pressure, although more studies are certainly needed. So while magnesium malate, glycinate, and taurate may have some access to the brain, though this continues to be debated and therefore may have some improvement in things like anxiety and depression and overall mood, there is only one form of magnesium specifically known for its ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. So in my opinion, this makes it the best magnesium for anything related to neurological health, whether that's improved cognitive function, memory, learning, or mood stabilization. And this is Magnesium L Threonate. If you watch my video on magnesium and its role in anxiety, you know that this is my preferred form of magnesium to help with these anxiety symptoms. So let's talk about what exactly Magnesium L Threonate is. This is a magnesium that's bound with the amino acid L-threonic acid, and this form of magnesium was actually developed by a team of scientists at MIT in around 2010, so it hasn't been around that long, but it has been shown to increase levels of brain magnesium higher than any other form of magnesium, likely because of its ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, which essentially means that it has the ability to effectively deliver magnesium to brain cells. It has also been shown to increase brain plasticity and levels of BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. So while this hasn't been around as long as some other forms of magnesium and therefore lacks the same amount of research, there have been some publications that have looked at its anti-anxiety and mood-enhancing effects that are very promising. I also want to just talk about anxiety attacks for a minute. One clinical takeaway and personal experience that I have with Magnesium L Threonate is that it works pretty quickly, and it's for this reason that I think it can be a form of magnesium that people can utilize when it comes to anxiety and or panic attacks. And this could be whether you are taking Magnesium L Threonate daily and dosing it throughout the day to try and prevent those attacks from occurring, or it's something that you actually take when you feel an onset of that extreme anxiety coming on. There are a few drawbacks with Magnesium L Threonate, the first one being the cost. Because it's this patented form of magnesium and it essentially has this very effective therapeutic property, the cost is definitely reflective of that. So if you don't understand what exactly this magnesium does, you can look at it compared to the cost of other magnesium supplements and think, why would I take this one? But if you do understand its clinical efficacy, then I highly recommend giving it a try if you're someone who's seeking out magnesium mainly for this cognitive or anti-anxiety effect. The second thing to consider with Magnesium L Threonate is that because it's specifically for the brain, it's also not going to be the best form of magnesium to raise general magnesium levels. So if you are magnesium deficient, this isn't something that I would rely on to fulfill that. This is really just for those targeted effects. And the last magnesium that we're going to talk about today is Magnesium Sulfate. So Magnesium Sulfate is what you're going to get in things like Epsom baths or salts, or in creams that you might rub on you or sprays. This magnesium is absorbed transdermally, which means that it's going to have a nice impact on getting into your muscle tissue and having that kind of like overall calming or muscle relief, but it's also not going to be something that's going to actually increase your levels of magnesium. So to summarize, the best magnesium for bowel regularity or general magnesium support I would give to Magnesium Citrate. The best magnesium for fatigue and muscle aches goes to Magnesium Malate. The best for sleep is absolutely Magnesium Glycinate. Best magnesium for cardiovascular and metabolic health is Magnesium Taurate. The best for anxiety, cognitive function, and focus is Magnesium L Threonate. And the best for a bath is Magnesium Sulfate. Let's talk about the safety of magnesium supplementation for a minute. A common question that I get is if you can take multiple forms, since these forms have different properties. And the answer to that is most of the time, absolutely. There are a few people and conditions where you do need to be very cautious with magnesium supplementation, and this would generally be people with any kidney dysfunction or disorders, renal concerns, and this is because the kidneys is what helps excrete excess magnesium. So if there are any issues with this, then you could end up with hypermagnesia, and that could cause some serious issues. So as with all supplementation, always talk to your healthcare provider before you add anything in. In terms of dosing for each different types of supplements and its therapeutic effect, they're each going to have relatively different doses. So I would generally just follow whatever the guidelines are on the supplements, unless you're working with someone who's told you to take it in a specific way to reach those therapeutic doses and effect. What's that, Chandler? No, I don't own a magnesium supplementation company. Although maybe I should, right? Yeah. All jokes aside, this video is not sponsored by any particular magnesium supplement brand, but I will leave links to my favorite products of each form of magnesium below, which have just become my favorite because of my own personal use for myself and for people that I've worked with as well. If you are looking for an anti-anxiety effect with magnesium supplementation, then I highly recommend you watch this video here that's going to go over a little bit more detail about magnesium and its role in anxiety. So I hope to see you in that one.